Is this where you lived when you first became interested in border collies and trialing?
It definitely is. I moved here after I was at University of Texas at Austin, and I worked for the public radio station for a year after I graduated, running a few programs there. It was a lot of fun. I had a good time, but my visa time was up and I came home. Not unhappily. I was happy. People offered to marry me, but anyway, I didn't do that. It was, I wanted to come home. I like Canada. It worked fine.
So you came home from Texas and your mother had some sheep and you looked at them and you thought, wow, what am I going to do with these?
It was worse than that. She went to Florida and left me lambing them after she had fed them too much all winter. It was terrible. I had every lambing problem in the book and there was only 10 sheep or something. I think I had a uterine prolapse that year, which I've hardly ever had since. It was every problem in the book. It was ridiculous. After that, we smartened things up a little bit and I learned a bit more about it, but I didn't know much about it before I did it. My sister Kathy had been to riding school in the UK and she stayed with a farming family in Yorkshire that had dairy and sheep, and they had a lot of border collies. And she came home, she lived down south and had a horse boarding business, and had got this border collie from a guy called Bill Wyatt in Tennessee. And she got it, her neighbor had investigated and got them. Kathy got one, and it was a smart dog. It would gather out in a bigger field, you know, as far away as those trees, and bring in 18 horses. In fact, it got so Kathy would just whistle and the horses say, hey, let's go in, the dog's coming. And it was a smart dog. And I kept thinking, God, I'd like to train the setters to do that trick. That's good. You know, like, I didn't know anything about it, right? And one day, that dog used to go hacking with the riders that came through. And a neighbor had given us a sheep that he had for 2 years, and it was a Columbia, so it had lots of fleece, never shorn, and it wouldn't flock with the sheep. It went out with the cattle, and when shearing time came and went, we gave it up because we couldn't catch the thing. You know, it was kind of wool blind and wild, and I had Meg, that's Kathy's dog, hanging by the fence over there, and I said, hey, Meg, get that sheep, just like that. Boom, she had it in the barn in 5 minutes, and I ran after that. I said, Mother, Meg's got that cow sheep in the barn. We've got to go and get one of these dogs. So a vet from Kempville, a horse vet, had talked to Kathy about breeding Meg to his dog, and he got the dog from somebody in Pennsylvania. We called up that guy, and he had a pup. And Mother and I got in the car and drove up there and picked it up. And we argued about what would be its name on the way home. She wanted to call it Bruce. I wanted to call it Butch. And we settled on Bart. That was his name. That was our dog, and he was the first border collie we got. And we bred Bart to that Meg and got the line that has brought me here, brought me Hazel, who's a Hall of Famer with the ABCA, and every dog on the place except Carl is a descendant from them. I'd had plenty of dogs while I was growing up all the time, and I just naturally took to them. There was nobody around to train us at that time. You know, there was no internet for one thing. It was a long time ago, it was 40 years ago. And I just had to learn. I went to a clinic with Glyn Jones Bodfari once at Sheep Focus, and it got me started. And the next year, I went back to learn the next steps. And they said, oh, you should go in the trial. And I said, oh, what do you have to do? And they said what I had to do. And I said, okay. And I went in the trial and I won it. And I don't know, I just got the bug. Maybe a year or two after that, we started up the Ontario Border Collie Club. And then a lot more people were interested in having things like clinics, which I had never much heard of before Glyn Jones Bodfari, you know. What I'm going to do here is pick up these sheep and do a little shed work at hand. And this is a very young dog. He's only not yet 2 years old, and I've only been shedding with him for a few weeks. I would like to go for a single sometime soon, and sometimes they happen, and I get the single. but I don't always, and I'm not fussy about it. I take whatever shows up when I'm doing the work, and I make sure he's comfortable coming in and taking the group away that I have indicated, no matter what number it is. I don't get too specific at this stage of his career, but I'll pick these up, bring them back, and let you see how I'm doing. Carl, way out, come on, way. Carl! Steady. Come on, good boy. Come on. Lie down. Lie down. Come. Lie down. Come. Lie down, Carl. That'll do. Come on in here. Come in here. Come on here. This. Come. Come on. Good. Steady on. Good. Go on. Shh. Come. Walk up. Go on. The success of that, doing any number, is more important than the number I get. At this stage of his career, you can't be souring dogs at the shed, or they might resent coming in later on. He doesn't resent it at all. He's happy enough to do it. Come. Lie down. That'll do. Come on here. This. Come on. This. Go on. Steady now. Go on. Walk them. Go on. Good. Good boy.
I've been having those young dogs out every day. Recently, it's become very hot, so I'm a little bit indifferent to how far I go right now. Besides which, they're at a level in their training where they're not really going to suffer. You know, they've gone far enough along. And if they get hot and uncomfortable, it's kind of counterproductive. So I go out maybe for 20 minutes a day. I keep that handful of yearlings out there. I do left, right, walk up, and try to make my language with the dogs evolve to the point that they understand me a little better all the time, and I understand them talking back to me while they're out there a little better all the time.
Way out.
But that's it. I don't do much. And I'll tell you what, you go too far when it's hot like this, and you've got nowhere to go to back up to do something good because you're out of dog. They don't learn well when they're hot. It's really not advisable. Somebody asks, is my dog old enough to train? Well, yeah, my two youngsters are probably old enough to train, but whether they're old enough to start in that 30-degree heat, I don't think so. So I'll just wait until it's a little cooler.
Hey, no, lie down. Way out. Lie down. Way. Come on. Lie down. Steady now. Come. Lie down. Steady on. Steady. Come. Steady. Hey, Carl.
I give things that they do naturally in response to what the sheep are doing. Words or whistles or something. Minor step, when it's a minor step required, I see it coming. Give them the whistle, they step to the left because I think they're going to anyway. So when they are at a long distance away, they count on me staying in touch with them. And so he likes to hear me talk to him. And I have a sort of way of being affirmative, like with just when he is walking on and when it's right to walk on, if I need him to come on harder, walk harder, do like that, or step, right, walk up, slow down, and that talking to them, he understands things that have ramifications for how the sheep are going. And he's turning into a real good sheep handler himself. And so he goes, okay, I see. You know, without being too rambunctious or crazy. And, you know, he's really going steady and marching along behind and listening to every whistle and every step and feeling good about every one and every step. And if he feels like I'm always in touch with him, he's ready for the next move.
Lie down. Come by. Come on, come. Lie down. Steady. Hey. Hey, hey. Hey, hey! You steady now. You steady.
But a lot of the talk that I do with the dog is to affirm things. So you'll hear me, give little whistles that he finds comforting while he's out there working. It's better if I give him all of my concentration and pour everything into that dog in that moment.
Work out your training situation. It doesn't work to come to somebody's place like mine once a week and try your hand at it. You have to do it every day, because becoming a good hand involves developing your language with your dog, and it can't be done on a once a week basis, kind of like speaking French. Better to do total immersion. So you need to get your sheep right, your field right, get your dog going every day, not for long, 10 minutes will do, but that is my advice. Lie down. Hey, lie down. Carl, no sir. Hey, wait. Lie down. Wait. Lie down. Wait. Lie down. Carl, lie down. Steady now. Lie down. Come. Lie down. Lie down. Wait. Come on. Lie down. Lie down.
I'm often stopped for the months of January and February, and depending on March, much of March. When it thaws, yes, I can get going on training if I want to. But, I have projects around here then too. I sugar. In April, I lamb. And then I usually go trialing starting in May, and I garden an awful lot. So all those things combine to not getting going usually so much in the spring. And yet I have done that this year with Carl. I didn't really get him going in the fall because I had a broken kneecap. And I never got him started then. But then I got him started later. And it didn't hurt him. Deferring is never a bad idea. When dogs think in more mature ways, it's way easier to train them. And you have to coddle a little baby. It's not so handy. And sometimes you can inadvertently put too much pressure on them, and they decide they don't like it anymore. I can't stand that, or something like that, But I try to always see how my dog is coming along and not go too far. That's the trick. Go push, but don't go too far.
I like them to bring them right into the fence. Lie down and hold them there. Lie down. He's done this since he was a young dog. Come. Lie down. Way. Come on. Way out. Lie down. Good boy. And then I'll try and scare them out a little bit. Come on. Good. Wait. Come on. Wait. Come on, Carl. Come on. Good boy. Hopefully without my telling him, but I often give it words if in fact he's doing it. Here, come on. Good boy. Attaboy. Come on. Shh. Wait, come on. Come on. Good. Come on. Good boy. Attaboy. Watch him. And then the way that they dig them out is just as important as the way they put them there. So I ask him to go in between these sheep crowded into the corner in a civilized way and dig them out, not grabbing them and carrying on like a nut, but with their tail in the air. Come on, walk. Come on, get up. Lie down. Way. Good. Carl, away. No, wait. Lie down. Steady. Good boy. Go on.
When I started running Hazel, who's the first dog I trained properly, thanks to Jim Cropper, who helped me do that, I wouldn't have known what kind of dog I like. And that's why I always like to see when young handlers talk about the sort of dog they like. I'll bet you they hardly know yet until they settle into, number one, the traits of their own character and how those reapply to the dogs and so forth. It's true that I've been very successful with my own breed, and it has completely suited me, with the odd exception that hasn't made it through to the end, because sometimes dogs don't make it. But I do know what I like. I like a dog to run very freely on the front lines and handle the sheep on my behalf. And I don't like to have to stop, start. I consider that crude running, like just you could run a coyote that way if you could get it trained. He doesn't have to have a particular way with its sheep, or you don't have to see something totally evolved about such a wonderful dog that it maneuvers around and takes care of the sheep on its own under direction. A little left, okay, a little right. Don't send me right. That's a mistake this time. And you can hear the dog pull up and fight the flank, and then you insist upon it, so it does the little flip to the left. Those things are amazing. When you get into really high levels of communication, so flank to the left, step to the left, step to the right, big flank to the right. And so you get a dog that's moving along in the flow, left and right, just like this, but always engaging the sheep and coming onto them like it's holding a glass of water. That's beautiful. Not stop, walk up, lie down, walk up, like a servant. It's not a servant, it's a partner.
Lie down, stay. Lie down. Stay.
I've tried a lot of sheep. I bought 10 Scottish Blackface one time. That didn't really work out. They never really merged with my flock. It wasn't any good. I thought they'd be great to dog on. And I could try different groups of sheep with different breeds of sheep. That doesn't work. You need to get one consistent group of sheep because they learn behaviors from one another anyway. And you have to have enough of them to keep training and keep your dog pliable and covering flanks. And I'm going to give you an example. Suppose your doggy sheep are trotting along and you give a flank to your dog to the right. It steps to the right, and the sheep, they automatically go, oh, here comes the dog to the right. Let's go to the left. Before the dog actually physically turns them, the sheep anticipate it. And eventually you get a dog that learns not to finish his flanks off properly. And you go to a trial where the sheep are fresh and different, and you can't get a dog to go all the way around, and you can't handle the job. So you need to keep dogs or sheep that are reactive. I like North Country Cheviots. They last a long time here. They winter well. They do well on nothing but hay. I don't like to feed grain because that again spoils them for dog work. Then they start to mob the handler and run around you and come to you before they should, because they think you're going to bring grain. Sheep are not stupid. They're smart. And I'm very careful about my sheep, and every handler needs to work out a good training scenario, both in the fields in which they work, the kind of sheep that they work, and you should probably have a minimum of 20 sheep to really get going, so you can break them down into smaller, different groups, and pay attention to the details. Make sure the sheep are good for the training of your dog.
What about age? Do you keep sheep that are different age, so you've got slow ones and fast ones, or light ones, or you want them all to be the same?
Well, I hold back about 25 yearling ewes every year and winter them. And then I go into the spring so that when lambing time comes up, I have a handful of sheep that aren't lambing, so I can keep training them in April and May, because it's very hard to train with new lambs and ewes. And I'm not saying that new lambs and ewes aren't useful. They're less useful for a very young dog that doesn't know left and right and that kind of thing. It's hard. So I don't like using them to train a young dog with. I have plenty of dogs with a lot of muscle, and I cite Dory and Howell, who can handle every dirty job, right? But when I'm taking out a young one, like Carl this morning or Dar, I would not have a sheep that was going to hammer on them all the time. I would make sure I didn't take it out in my work group. I would want them to know and learn to comport themselves before they got onto a difficult sheep like that, and to have the confidence to go left and right and walk up and do as asked and understand the consequences of it. But for them to be beaten up by a dirty sheep is, to me, poor form.
We've all heard stories about Western range ewes. Can you tell me about those sheep and what you do to train in advance for the Western trials?
When we run out west, it's invariably at high altitude, which is in itself a challenge to the dogs and conversely, the sheep. So the sheep come down from 11,000 feet to the Meeker trial, and we go up to 6,500 feet. I present to you a problem: sheep that are fortified and dogs that are compromised by the oxygen levels, right? And they can run like hell, and they don't mind doing it. They have never been broken down into small groups of 5 like that in their lives, likely. And they just tend to be very wild. Having said that, the sheep at Meeker, since Julie Hansmeyer has taken over personally the management of the flock, have been way better. And what it tells me is that she has used good dogs on them and taught them some manners before they got there. They used to be way crazier and than they are now. They're steadier now. And at Soldier Hollow, they only get in 300 sheep. And they use the same sheep each of the 3 qualifying days and take back the top 6 for the championship. So they're rerun, and then very rerun for the final day. And they get trained really quickly, surprisingly quickly. They become accustomed to the dogs. In my little poultry fields around here, I have a lot of training opportunities. The water makes things difficult, having to accept off-balance flanks, keeping my sheep on which I work fresh enough so that they have to finish off every flank. That's important. And in the winter, I take them over to the creek over there and drive sheep across the icy creek. They don't want to go. And it teaches the dog to come in hard and take them across. That helps because there's always going to be situations like that. Practice on them. They really are difficult. They're a whole different kettle of fish. And plus we have Kingston, so we have all those fresh ewes that comes to Kingston every year. Additionally helpful.